called to order. Will Commissioner, staff, and guests please rise for invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Lord, we come here before you as public servants and as concerned citizens that want to see the best for this county and for our world. May your hand be upon us as we make decisions and as we work together to build your will. In Jesus' name we ask, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the purposes of attendance, the clerk will call the roll.
Campbell. Here. Connor. Here. Geiger.
Here.
Getty. Here. Gibson.
Here.
Jackson. Here. Smoker.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Approval of written agenda. At this time, any commissioner or member of the public may ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and placed under items for consideration. Hearing no such request, does any commissioner request to change the agenda? Hearing no such request and without objection, the agenda is approved as written. Reports from state county officers. Does any state or county officer have a report to share with the board? Hearing none, we'll move ahead. Limited public comment. This time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Good morning, Joel Ibbotson, Rutland Township. Article 1, Section 2 of the Michigan Constitution states we are all entitled to equal protection under the law. Very similar to the 14th Amendment, there is an equal protection clause. The way that this health department has acted during this pandemic has been abhorrent. To have 3 schools that operated defying the governor and her order, and to only have 2 schools given cease and desist letters from Colette Scrimger, the health officer. All of the variables of those 3 schools were the same, except one of them employed the chairperson for this body. We're granted to equal protection under the law regardless of any status, any race, any religion, period. You are not supposed to be granted extra protection if you happen to be the chairperson for the Board of Commissioners. This goes to show that Colette Scrimger was more concerned about her paycheck than she was the supposed safety and well-being of the kids. I don't know how to make this argument any more clear. That is why she needs to go. Regardless of whether you sit on the left or the right, you cannot use your position of authority in a way that deprives everyone of equal protection under the law, of any of these constitutional recognized rights. This resolution is very simple. We don't need an anti-masking resolution. We just need a health officer that does her job and follows the Constitution to the letter. And Colette has made it very clear to us that she does not fit that bill. It's very simple. You can't get a simpler resolution than this. Please, whether it's Catherine, John, Ben, Vivian, Dave, or Bruce, someone, put this on the agenda, please. Make a motion to include this. And then, at least, if nothing else, even if it doesn't pass, we'll know where all of our commissioners stand. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Morning, Gary White. Last Wednesday I went to the Eaton County Commissioners meeting because I wanted to hear what they were having to say about the health department. And before I even got there, I said I did have a board member meet me and say, "Hey, did you know that the Board of Health meeting has moved?" I said, "No." I said, "Well, the health department should have put it on there." When I came in here today, I asked John. He said, "Yep, did you see this? He showed me, I'm sitting there, yeah, I knew that since last Wednesday. Did your health department bother to put that information in the paper so that everybody in the county might know about it? Are they hiding? They don't want people showing up at this thing. And there is enough room at the new location for us up to 500 people. But when people aren't notified that there's been a change, why is that? Who's accountable for that? Isn't it your health department and your health director? Of course, they'll point the finger someplace, we know that. It's just really frustrating to know that this is still happening. They did have a health department report. It was quite interesting. They talked about the 500 people that were at the health board. They talked about, as I said, Mr. Witten talked about how getting a legal opinion. He took it up on himself to get a couple legal opinions on this. And what do we hear here? Not much, correct? Why aren't we hearing nothing here? But I can go to Eaton County and get more information. I even knew before you guys that the meeting had been changed. The health department failed once again notifying people because it's been changed since last Wednesday. So there is real problems in your health department, lack of organization, lack of openness. As county commissioners, you're going to give direction to your health board of what to do. The resolution that you got should have been in your packet, should have been able to have been read by people, but we're going to get the chance to hear it for the first time sometime today possibly. So openness, transparency is what government needs to be, and we're still having a real problem, in my opinion, here in Berry County with it, just so you know. I know things that you don't just because I go around and look for things. Are you looking enough? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there further public comment?
Hello, Charles Hertzler, City of Hastings. How you doing? Ben, my comments mostly concern you today, okay? You are the chairman of this board. You're the chairperson of the Republican Party. You're the chairperson of the health department. I think that when you stop and think about it, there's some conflict of interest there. One of the reasons why maybe we're not finding out stuff about the health department is because just like with the Republican Party, you change meetings at the last minute or you cancel meetings at the last minute. Like he just said, nobody knew about the change of address or venue for the health department meeting over there. I think if you want to really be responsible to the constituents that put you in this position right here, right now, that you should resign from 2 of the 3 things. I think that you being in the position of all 3 of them positions is causing great harm to this county. Because a lot of this stuff goes to you as the head of these departments. And I really wish you take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Good morning. My name is Lynette Dooley. I reside in Orangeville Township. I've been there for 35 years. I've lived in Berry County for a total of 47 years. And the reason I live here is because it's a great place to raise a family, to work, and to recreate. And it's a great community. And I've watched the community evolve over time. It's grown in the good times and it's persevered when it's not so good. But it's always moving forward with the goal to present attractive opportunities for families and businesses to thrive. Local government contributes by planning, implementing, and maintaining an environment that attracts and develops businesses and supports quality education and maintains community services and other government responsibilities. I appreciate the role that you as the Board of Commissioners play in making Berry County a wonderful place to live. You have to consider many points of view and make many difficult decisions, many guided and restricted by law. Regarding the local government's responsibility for community health, I read a document you are likely familiar with, but I thought might help others gain some understanding. And this document is Michigan's Guide to Public Health for Governing Entities. It was published November 2006. It's 32 pages and it has details of the public health requirements that are legally obligated under state law. And it's been adhered to through both Democratic and Republican administrations. And I extrapolated some relevant points, and I quote, As a county commissioner, you have a legal responsibility to protect and promote the health of your community. As a local board of commissioners and/or board of health member, you have an important statutory obligation to promote and protect the health of your constituents. This responsibility is mainly carried out through the work of the LHD, the local health department. The Board of Commissioners Health provides the oversight and support that assures the LHD meets the standards included in the accreditation process. Accreditation affirms that you have a strong LHD with the capacity and structure to implement statutory duties and responsibilities, end quote. It only makes sense that adequate funding is necessary to meet this legal requirement. Beyond that is the principle of common good defined by Britannica.org. Quote, that which benefits society as a whole in contrast to the private good of individuals and sections of society, unquote. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Good morning. Pat Hilton from Middleville. I feel like I come up here and I'm a broken record because I keep saying the same things over and over again. But I think sometimes we learn from repetition. And last week I spoke about the what's happened with Delta everywhere it's been, right? 2 months and it drops. And I said last week that we had hit that 2-month mark and we'd start to watch Michigan's 7-day case count plateau. Well, since then, can anybody guess what has occurred? It started to drop, just as we had all been told that we were misinforming as we were saying things like this, right? By our own health department, by the way. So I will ask the three of you that are on this Board of Health the same question I asked last time. Have you, or are you going to ask her and the entire health department why they got it so wrong? And do they recognize they got it so wrong? And do they believe that the 7 days of imminent danger that was masking our children solved all of this? Is that why the cases came down? Look at the cases in schools. Thornapple Kellogg has been flat the entire time. 1 or 2 per building on any given day. There's no spike. There was no letdown after the imminent danger. There was no need for the imminent danger to be placed to begin with, other than to scare all of us adults and to make us feel like we're doing something about something we cannot control. I think part of the idea of public health should be the recognition that you cannot control the virus. You cannot exterminate a virus. You cannot pretend it's going to go away. And you certainly can't scare people into believing that something exists that doesn't. So I hope that you, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Geiger, Mr. Smelker, ask the health department on Thursday, why did they get it so wrong? Do they recognize they got it so wrong? And what things are they going to do in the future to make sure they don't make the same mistake again? Because the thing that's really at danger here is not only the loss of liberty, but it's the teaching of our children to to do things even when they don't make any sense whatsoever. And that type of pressure from an unelected official is ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment? Hearing none, we'll move ahead. Go ahead.
Adam Heikkila. Just to kind of piggyback on some of his points there. This is about control. I think that anyone that has a brain right now can look at the situation over the last year and a half and simply say that, wow, something's not right. That's just bar none. There's something not right in the way that control measures are being implemented in our society today. And yes, broken record, broken record, broken record. I say the same thing to all the boards because they're all controlled in some manner that's unjust. This whole pandemic, because it has been, and if any of you on this board have your eyes open, to the world of what's happening, you see that this has all been planned for many decades. This has been planned by, for whatever reason. Maybe we don't know necessarily the grand scheme or reason why all of these things are happening. But again, I come to you and say this not because I'm some QAnon supporter like some board around like to tell people and put in the media and say that, that's what these people are coming with, some Q ideas. See, I've actually been in the middle of an organization that's been a part of controlling boards like yours, where the nonprofit that I shut down in Battle Creek back in 2015, I had already met with the Calhoun County health officer. Her name is Cynthia Reese. I'd met with her multiple times because the organization that I was a part of, their goal was to control those people in those positions. They've been doing these actions for many decades. That large group is called the Gamaliel Foundation. Write down, look up Gamaliel Foundation, Gamaliel. Write it down, please. I want you to look them up, see who they are. Because they actually have groups still across the state of Michigan. Isaac in Kalamazoo, Moses in Detroit, We Rock in Ypsilanti, Action of Greater Lansing, Ezekiel Project in Saginaw. These are groups of political power, gatekeeper centers that have been funneling the information and controlling the people that are controlling the information that are controlling you boards. And if you don't know this, and people like me come to you who has been in the middle of this, who saw what this was, because I'm a Christian, not someone here for dark worldly power, that I saw what I was in the middle of. I saw then what I was in the middle of when I ran for office and was in an office in Bedford Township and was a part of these boards and all of the systems just like you all are.
Thank you for your comments.
So please research and understand exactly who's been controlling you all.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Good morning. Sharon Olson from Irving Township. I'm just returning today to follow up on some factual things that I relayed to you a week ago. The reason I'm back here today is because the day after the meeting, I received a phone call from one of our vendors that someone had sent them a video of my comments and asked them to respond to me. I'm just going to read you the last paragraph. Unfortunately, misinformation that has been circulating is dangerous to our elections. It erodes trust in the electoral process and has done irreparable harm to, and I'm not going to name the vendor, in the integrity of clerks across the country who are charged with the duty and conduct of fair elections. Many have been threatened for fear of their safety. These blatantly false claims can and have been disproved hundreds of, if not thousands of times across the country. Paper ballots don't lie. I never said any of that. I related factually what happened at our building, period. For all of your information or whoever thought it was a good idea to send my comments to a vendor for a response, that was a mistake. I think that was a reaction, not a response. I trusted you with coming here because I need you to respond, not react. While I have a little bit of time, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my background in leadership, my training. I'm ROTC trained through Western Michigan University, Michigan State University, and Cornerstone University. That's my background in leadership. My experience is being a security officer for the 334th Medical Detachment in Grand Rapids, where they trained me in security. They trained me in looking for these kind of things. That's my background in those areas. I'm also a medical logistic management officer with a specialty through the military and that kind of training. Okay, I'm not an uneducated person talking to you. I do have some experience in organization. I have some experience in security. I have some training in the military as far as how organizations get a job done. The military is not a pyramid. People think it's a pyramid. It is not. When you're trained to move through the forest and attack or look for a threat, you have a point person. That person assumes the most risk. That's you on this board. You're the point person. You're not above, you're equal, and you're the one out there taking the most risk as the point person. Those positions get rotated because it's a fatigue position. It's a lot of stress. So that's just to piggyback a little bit on what was said, and also to remind you that you are holding positions of responsibility, not authority. So if I come here, I expect from you a response and not a reaction in the future.
Thank you.
Because this was unsettling.
Thank you. Is there further public comment? Hearing none, we'll move ahead. Various correspondence. Does any commissioner have any correspondence to share with the board? Hearing none, consent items. Vice Chair Connor.
Thank you. Approval of October 12th, 2021 Board of Commissioner meeting minutes. Approval of October 19th, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Approval of the fiscal year 2022 Office of Community Corrections grant contract and to authorize the chairperson to sign it. Approval to reappoint Ann Richards as the Democrat member and Patricia Walton as the Republican member to serve on the Board of Canvassers for a term that starts November 1st, 2021 and ends October 31st, 2025. Approval to reappoint Matthew Rosser to serve on the Berry County Solid Waste Oversight Committee in the position representing the recycling industry for a 3-year term that begins on 11/1/21 and expires on 10/31/2024. Approval of grant number EMC-2021-EP-00003 State of Michigan Fiscal Year 2021 Emergency Management Performance Grant Agreement and authorize the chairperson and administrator to sign both copies of the grant agreement. Approval of the Berry County 2021 Apportionment Report.
Second.
Motion by Connor, supported by Gibson, to approve the items listed under the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and roll call vote is required. All those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will call the roll.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The consent agenda is approved. Presentations. We have a special presentation today. Is the special guest here?
Good morning, everyone. My name is
Good
Jack
morning.
Ward. Members of the audience and everyone. I'm a member of the Berry County Sheriff's Posse. Actually, I'm captain. The Sheriff Posse was founded in 1955 in this county, and in that 66 years, the members have put forth many, many hours of volunteer services to this county.
If any of you have weed in your pocket, just raise your hand now.
So,
Sorry, Jack.
We have a special guest up here with us today. We have Deputy Moore and Deputy K-9 Grizzly. Some of you may not know, Grizzly will be retiring as a K-9 for the county shortly. I'm not sure how long we have. Spring? Okay. So what we need to do, we need to find a way to fund a new K-9 unit. And if you've never had a chance to see this dog in what he does and just a demonstration of him, and it's amazing. But it's also, he can't do that without his handler, who's also amazing. So we've got the two here. One's retiring, one's staying on. There are some services that we're doing for fundraisers. If you go down to Courtside, they've got some shirts down there and different things you can buy that say
canine supporter of Berry County, and the proceeds were going to go to the canine division to get us another dog. Deputy Moore came to our meeting 2 months ago and gave us a demonstration of Grizzly and talked to us about trying to help him with fundraising for the new dog. Last month at our meeting, we voted as a group to donate to the canine fundraiser. So on behalf of the Berry County Sheriff's Posse, I have some of my members here with me today. We've got the Sheriff Darleaf and Under Sheriff Sixberry with us. If you guys want to come on over. Thank you. So on behalf of Berry County Sheriff's Posse, we would like to donate to you and the canine this check for $1,500. Chance to see this dog in action, or any dog they get, it's really well worth it. This dog is amazing, and this handler is amazing also. Yes.
Good boy.
We'll get you the real check. This one here, yeah. We have a real one for you, because I don't think the bank will take this from the Canine Bank of Trust.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. But
Yeah.
if you have a chance, buy some of them shirts down there, help some of the proceeds go to the canine. And any other fundraisers we come up with, we'll make sure everybody gets to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Next on the agenda is a public hearing regarding the proposed Berry County budget. I will now open the floor for public input. Is there anyone that would like to provide input regarding the 2022 Berry County budget? I'll ask to, sir, please state your name and your residence.
Gary White, Nashville. Says here, first page, general fund budget totals $19.2 million and requires a tax levy of 5.2724 mils. The maximum allowable. That maximum allowable will raise taxes on Berry County residents approximately $377,000, along with gas price increases, food price increases, and numerous other things. I think if you look at lowering your general fund down to about $18.6 million in your budget, you could reduce the mills down to 5 and actually look at possibly funding a jail if you honestly think that that is a need here. As county commissioners, if you don't look at the whole operations, you'll never get anywhere. I think it is now 6 commissions that have kicked the can down the road on the jail. And I'm not sure if Mr. Campbell, Ms. Getty, if you want to be part of the 7th or not, of kicking the can down the road or not. But it's time that you start looking at why do we have so much coming out. You increase 2 jobs out there for a $41,363 increase. You throw another $10,000 towards park. So, and then you still have a contingency fund of $2.3 million, which is approximately 14% of the general fund budgeted. To me, 14% for a governing body to have is nice, but to be real honest, is probably excessive. I talked with Calhoun County Steve Frisbee a little while back, and he was surprised at that much. He's there. Yeah, they run about an 8 to 10% contingency fund. I'm just sitting here saying, geez, it's great to have money. How many people in Berry County have $1,000 in their bank account? But yet you're here as county commissioners ready to take more money out of their pocket instead of give back. How many people here really have a plan to put a jail up? And what is it? Does the plan really start with reducing your levy and reducing your budget to move in that direction? American Rescue Plan. This one bothers me immensely now because I knew it was going to be out there. I knew the county was going to have some money. And I was reading when I was in Dalton at the campground that, the applications are due tomorrow. It was a Friday. So I read it that night. The next morning I went into Nashville and got a hold of DPW director because I know he had been promised that they would know about the application process and period, so we could apply. We've been doing pretty good in Nashville. I sat on there when we got a DNR grant because we applied. We got a reconstruction grant for Sherman Street because we
Ask you
applied.
to summarize your comments, sir.
All right. We did not get the application. Mr. Geiger was the one that promised that we would get one so we could apply. What he has told us now is, oh, there's always a second round. We've been doing pretty good at applying for grants, and we know they're out there, and the applications are forwarded to us. If we have to look for them all the time after being promised we would get them, it's unreasonable. This budget process, the budget is too much. The levy could go down. You could actually look at, I don't know, saving the taxpayers some money and possibly funding a jail at some point in time. If you give them
Thank
money
you for your
back now,
comments.
maybe they'll give you a millage later on.
Is there further public comment regarding the budget? I have to ask 2 more times. Is there further public comment regarding the 2022 Berry County budget? Final call. Is there any public comment regarding the 2022 Berry County budget? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed. Items for consideration. Commissioner Getty.
I move for the approval of transfers and disbursements, approval of claims in the amount of $122,167.09.
Support. Motion by Getty, supported by Smelker, for the approval of claims in the amount of $122,167.09. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Connor.
Yes.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The motion passes.
I move for the adoption of Resolution 21-20 to adopt the 2022 Berry County Budget, General Appropriations Act, and millage.
Support. Motion by Getty, supported by Smelker, for the adoption of Resolution 2120 to adopt the 2022 Berry County Budget, General Appropriations Act, and millage. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
No.
Geiger.
Aye. The resolution is adopted.
I move for the approval of October 5th, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion by Getty, supported by Gibson, for the approval of the October 5th, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Discussion.
Thank you. I listened to watched the audio and watched the recording on our website, and I have submitted a new sheet that was on your desk for the corrections, and except for quotation marks and a comment at the end, it's verbatim.
Okay.
So I know you weren't happy with the first one, so
Well, we just thought it needed a little more work. So if there's no objection, we will amend the minutes to reflect the exhibit provided to the board. Hearing no objection, it is adopted. And the question now before the board is approval of the October 5th, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. All those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will call the roll.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. Motion carries. We have no unfinished business. New business. Public deserves transparency and openness in this anti-masking debate. And so this board is about to take the unprecedented step of releasing our attorney-client privileged opinion. Who do you want to make that motion? You want to make that motion, Michael?
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
I move that the Board of Commissioners make a public the October 7th, 2021 attorney-client privilege written communications from Stoker Cole and Stoker and Toskey, PC, regarding Berry County and the Berry Eaton District Health Department.
Support.
Motion by Gibson, supported by Smelker, to make public the October 7th, 2021 attorney-client privilege written communications from Stoker, Cole, Stoker, and Toskey, PC, regarding Berry County and the Berry Eaton District Health Department. Discussion. Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. Motion carries. Now, we do have enough for everybody in the audience. So let's take a couple of minutes if you do want to get a copy. Look, that's a different one.
Okay.
But we're going to listen. If you want a copy, come grab one. And we'll, if there's no objection, we'll start going over it in a couple minutes. I do have to grab a couple for the board.
I was gonna, he's grabbing some for us.
All right.
Okay.
You want me to pass it down?
Number one, you can have people read.
I can.
Can you read two? Just so everyone can-
Sure.
Board is now in order. Well, we're now going to read through the summary of the attorney-client opinion that addresses 5 items. So we start with, Dear Mr. Brown, we have been asked to address certain possible issues relating to the jurisdiction of the authority of the Berry County Board of Commissioners and the Berry Eaton District Health Department Board of Health as it relates to emergency orders issued by the appointed health officer by Multnomah County, Berry Eaton District Health Department. Specifically, we're going to go through, I'm going to have a little help going through these. So number 1, Commissioner Getty.
Does the Berry County Board of Commissioners or Berry Eaton District Board of Health have the authority to alter, change, or modify the mask mandate or other orders issued by the Berry Eaton District Health Department Health Officer? The short answer is the Berry County Board of Commissioners and/or the Berry Eaton Board of Health do not, in our legal opinion, possess statutory authority to directly alter, change, or modify a mask mandate or other emergency orders issued by a health officer under MCL 333.2451 or 333.2453.
Commissioner Smelker, number 2.
Does the Berry County Board of Commissioners or Berry Eaton District Board of Health have the authority to overrule or rescind the mask mandate or other orders issued by the Berry Eaton District Health Department Health Officer? Short answer. The Berry County Board of Commissioners and/or the Berry Eaton Board of Health do not, in our legal opinion, possess statutory authority to overrule or rescind a mask mandate or other emergency orders issued by the health officer under MCL 333.2451 or 333.2453.
Commissioner Connor, number 3.
Thank you. Does the Berry County Board of Commissioners or Berry Eaton District Board of Health have the authority to impose discipline, including termination of employment, upon the Berry Eaton District Health Department health officer for issuing a mask mandate or other orders, or refusing to alter, change, modify, or rescind a mask mandate or other orders issued by the Berry Eaton District Health Department health officer? If the order is rescinded, is there authority for the Board of Commissioners to keep the health officer from issuing further mandates/orders? Short answer: the Berry Board of Commissioners does not, in our legal opinion, possess statutory authority to discipline, suspend, or terminate the employment of the health officer. Appointive authority of a health officer of a multi-county district health department is statutorily vested with a local board of health. As such, authority to remove or discipline the health officer would be within the jurisdiction of the Berry Eaton Board of Health. Any discipline or removal of the health officer by the Berry Eaton Board of Health would be subject to applicable legal and/or contractual requirements, limitations, and prohibitions. As such, a Berry Eaton Board of Health decision to discipline or remove the health officer premised upon the issuance of or refusal to alter emergency health order where the health officer is acting consistent with the Public Health Code, grant of authority to issue emergency orders under MCL 333.2451 or 333.2453 would pose a risk to the Berry Eaton Department of Health of a cognizable public policy and/or contractual-based wrongful termination action. Finally, the Berry County Board of Commissioners does not, in our legal opinion, possess statutory authority to directly bar or limit further emergency orders being issued by a health officer under MCL 333.2451 or 333.2453. In addition, you have asked the following questions related to oath requirements for a health officer and enforcement of a health officer's emergency orders.
Commissioner Jackson.
Item 4, is the Berry Eaton District Health Department health officer required to take and maintain an oath of office? If so, what are the penalties to the health officer or health department for not taking or maintaining an oath? What effect does not having properly taken or maintained an oath have on the current and past orders issued by the health officer? What corrective actions can or should be taken? Short answer: there are no express Michigan statutory provisions in the Public Health Code or other applicable Michigan statutes specifically directly identifying an oath requirement applicable to county or multi-county district health officer. Further, we could locate no controlling Michigan President or Michigan Attorney General opinion which is addressed, much less held, that the constitutional oath is required of a county or multi-county health officer. Do you want me to continue with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Notwithstanding the lack of specific statutory oath provision addressing a county or multi-county health officer, we believe that most prudent course would be for the health officer to take and subscribe the constitutional oath. This prudent course is grounded on the possibility that a future court or Michigan Attorney General opinion could reasonably apply Construction 1963, Article 11, 1, to the position of county or multi-county district health officer. Even assuming arguendo that a future court or opinion of Michigan Attorney General might conclude that a health officer position is a public officer under the constructs of 1963, Article 11, 1, who must take and subscribe to the constitutional oath, a failure to take an oath can be cured by the current health officer by taking and subscribing the constitutional oath. Such a cure of taking and filing the oath renders the health officer de jure, and such de jure statute relates back to the date of the office was undertaken. Finally, based on the predominant view of the courts and Michigan Attorney General, even the health officers were not to timely cure, such failure would not be deemed to invalidate current or past emergency orders issued by the health officer. This is because the health officer would nonetheless have been de facto officer during those periods whose actions cannot be questioned or jurisdictional grounds in collateral action.
Mr. Campbell.
Number 5, is the Barry Eaton District Health Officer or any of her staff required to be deputized by the Sheriff of Barry County to enforce the mask mandate or other orders issued by the Barry Eaton District Health Department Health Officer? Short answer. In our legal opinion, deputization of staff is not required. The Public Health Code provides express statutory authority and mechanisms for enforcement of emergency orders under MCL 333.2451 or 333.2453 by Barry Eaton Health Department. There is no statutory provision of the Public Health Code which requires or predicts that such enforcement authority of the health officer or staff be conditioned on the discretionary deputization authority of a county sheriff.
So you have the further analysis and legal precedents and the footnotes in this packet. And also you have a letter to the health officer responding to the question, who must take the oath of office pursuant to the Michigan Constitution. While there does not appear to, this is from the State of Michigan Office of Local Health Services, while there does not appear to be a legal requirement at the state level for a local health officer to take the oath under Article 11, Section 1 of the Michigan Constitution, there is no harm in taking the oath generally. If asked by a local governing entity to take the oath of office, there is no reason to object. Further, we have an additional packet that from the Mike Cox Law Firm. The Ottawa County Board of Commissioners did release this. Starting on page 3, the issues presented in brief answers. Does the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners have the power to reverse or override a health officer's epidemic order? No, the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners does not have the power to reverse or override a health officer's epidemic order. B, does the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners have the power to terminate the health officer's employment for issuing an epidemic order? Qualified, yes. Because Ms. Stefanowski is a public health officer by virtue of her appointment, she is not simply an at-will employee, and so the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners may only remove her if, 1, the board opines that she is incompetent to execute properly the duties of the office, or if that it is satisfied that the officer or agent is 2, guilty of official misconduct, habitual or willful neglect of duty. But it may only remove for the latter 2 reasons after it concludes a hearing where Ms. Stefanowski and her attorney can be heard. C, could the health officer be civilly and criminally liable if she withdrew her mask mandate because of political pressure? Qualified, yes. If Ms. Stefanowski were to withdraw her mask mandate solely for political reasons or pecuniary reasons to preserve her position, then it may be to the court could find that she demonstrated indifference to whether harm would result, as to be the equivalent of intending harm, as so lose her immunity under MCL 333.2465, number 2. Further, if a prosecutor would determine that she rescinded her mandate solely for political or pecuniary reason, that the prosecutor could charge her with misconduct in office, MCL 750.505. Any answer here is necessary speculative because it would depend on the facts and evidence that are not before us. And finally, letter D, can the Board of Commissioners defund the Public Health Department in response to the health officer issuing the epidemic order? No, at least not entirely, because the Michigan law compels each Michigan county to provide health services to the public through a health department under MCL 333.2416 and mandates a minimum level of funding. If the county were to fail to do so, it would risk losing local control of the department. And it goes on to discussion. In my career, and I don't know if we've ever done it in your career, we've never released a public opinion or released an attorney-client opinion. But there it is. Now, this board has talked about. Now this board has talked about passing some type of resolution. I know Commissioner Jackson and Commissioner Smelker have done some investigating. What are the board's wishes?
I wish to pass some kind of resolution stating where our position is, so the health officer knows it.
What is our position? Or are our positions different enough that a resolution wouldn't be appropriate?
I like the resolution that Jackson County Commissioners passed.
Okay. Do we have it?
You had a copy of it earlier.
John had a copy of it.
Well, it's just on here.
What are the board's wishes? Do we want to print this out and look at it?
I'd like a chance to review it.
Okay. Let's print it out and we'll review it. Is that how we'd like to proceed? Is there any objections? All right.
Take a 5-minute break then.
We'll take a 10-minute break because we'll all have to switch computers. So without objection, the board will recess for 10 minutes.
Just a minute, I'll see if I can just forward it to you.
Can you forward it to Michael and the board will come to order? So the board now has in front of them a copy of Jackson County's Board of Commissioners resolution. It is rather lengthy. But what are the board's wishes?
Is there a page missing?
Oh, backside?
It's on the back too.
The one that I pulled up has 4 pages. It could be this one wasn't passed. None of them are showing a signature.
At the end of the day, what are we trying to accomplish here?
I personally would vote no on this. There's
Okay.
things in there that I don't agree with.
Yeah,
But I
me
would
too. Are you muted? I think you're muted. I think you're muted.
Did you hear the first part?
Yes.
What I would personally do is, I would just like to say that I'm against mask mandates and vaccine mandates, and I would like us to, I will make a motion to that effect, and if people agree with me, fine. If they don't, fine. I get a second, and then they'll know where we stand.
Mask mandates in schools?
Yes. I will not put it in there that I'm against it anywhere, because I believe a private business's constitutional right is they can say that. Sorry.
So,
My sister had surgery this summer, and even though there was no mask mandate on the hospital policy, had a policy that if you were in the hospital, you were going to wear a mask, at least until you got to the person's room. So.
Hospitals are private entities, right?
Well,
Spectrum is.
so, but I mean, so there are some places where, you know, they have different. And right now the county has a policy that's in effect until the end of the year that if you're not vaccinated, you're required to wear a mask. But I'm in agreement with you about the vaccination mandates also. I'm not for those. I think it's a personal choice.
Is that a second on my motion?
And the motion was for schools? Is the mask mandate for schools?
I'm against mask mandates and vaccine mandates in schools.
Yeah, I'll second that.
I got a question.
You?
Is there something in here that you could take out that you would agree to pass the rest of it?
There's a couple of things there. It says that.
Yeah, I'm not even sure we have all of it.
Yeah. But the one thing is Jackson County Commission shall not mandate COVID vaccinations and vaccines and masks and stuff. I'm going on what the figures are now, and the figures are going down.
Yeah. So the motion by Smelker and supported by Connor is to resolve the Board of Commissioners is opposed to school vaccine and mask mandates.
This time, yeah.
And that's what the resolution will be. It'll be passed by its title.
Are you gonna?
I don't think we need to write it up. It's in the minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. Are you gonna write it as a resolution and
That's what it is.
It's a motion in the minutes, and if the rest of the commissioners agree with me or disagree with me, that's fine with me.
Well, I've even had some conversations regarding the fact that your school board members are put in place. School board members are put in place by the electorate. Should they have the say? They are elected. They are elected to run the schools, and we vote for them as citizens. I'm just asking the question.
Yes, I don't know the answer. I was under the impression that the school boards could put mask mandates on.
That's
That's
correct.
who the governor
That's correct.
put it down to, is the local ones. But so can the health officer.
So I don't want to stop a school board, though, while we're discussing it before we vote on it. I don't want to stop another elected official who has that right. I mean, I can say that personally,
Well, what would you do if you were on the school board? Would you vote for it?
if I was on the school board, probably not. No, I would not vote for it.
Is there further discussion? So basically what this will be is, it will be a statement.
Yeah, I mean, just to put some perspective on this, I mean, I agree with the principle of what John's talking about. And I agree with it because of some of the input that we've heard, read, seen, not only from parents, doing my own research, that Mr. Hilton pointed some things out, that when we masked the kids, the case counts actually went up, not by very much. It wasn't significant, statistically significant. When we took mask off, they did not go up. So the thing that bothers me about the entire masking debate, and I've had this discussion with Colette as well, that I never agreed with a one-size-fits-all for every district and every building. I think there was a much better way to address this when you look at the schools and go, okay, let's fight fires where there's a fire. Let's not just spray water on everything, you know. So we took the wrong approach, in my opinion, in this whole debate on how we went forward with it. The other thing is we're singling out schools and saying, okay, we have kids in schools for 6 hours a day. They're at home with their parents. The parents are going to work. If you've seen Michigan Stadium or any stadium around the country, there's hundreds of thousands of people that are unmasked in every segment of society, everywhere, all the time. The only place that we have targeted are kids in school. So when they go home, there's no mask. When they're with their siblings, there's no mask. When they go with their parents out, whatever they do all weekend long and all evening, there's no mask. So the transmission may be particularly in schools, but I think far and away it's outside of schools, and it's being brought in through there. So we've seen that, mask mandates. I've talked to the Calhoun County officer. I've spent some time looking at statistics detailed, just to try to really wrap my brain around what the right thing is to do, because as all of you know, especially on the health board members, we have gotten unlimited amounts of email from people on both sides. Not just people who are against masking, but people who are for protecting our kids. And that is the debate, is what's the best way to protect our children. Now I know there's we've heard, I don't know if it's 20 hours, but a lot of hours of people who do not want mask mandates to ever come back in our schools. I don't believe, based on where we're at, with our case counts flattening out and plateauing as they are right now, and we pray to God they continue in that aspect. Last year, it was, this time, Halloween seemed to be the kickstart for COVID. I mean, for a big increase. But it's also significant to note that in April of this year, when case counts were going through the roof and we were in a surge, we were all masked. In schools, out of schools, at our meetings, everywhere else. So where does the debate end? What's the right way to do it?
We were still having virtual meetings then.
We were still having virtual meetings then. So when you look at, and I've said this before, I hate toothless resolutions that come out and we put a statement out there. I think we have heard our parents speak, and we have heard a lot of parents through email speak in support of protecting our kids and in schools. I think if you look down the road a week or two, we know that there's a vaccine available that's going to be available for kids in that K through 6 category. And that K through 6 category, where we have kids who have asthma, who have pre-existing conditions, are vulnerable, are going to be taken care of. They're going to have an opportunity to protect those kids. The school boards still have the ultimate authority if they decide to mask kids, not mask kids. I know in Penfield, they had an outbreak that shut down schools. So they totally closed the school system. I don't know if it was for a week to let the case counts go down and evaluate it. That's really the only tool that we're leaving our health officer to work with right now, is shutting down an entire school system, like we did with H1N1, you know, when schools were just overrun with that. So I think we're at the point here where we have made our point, that the voices have been heard. There are no mask mandates. There are no quarantine mandates. From our health department, right now there is nothing other than the suggested guidance from the CDC and the Michigan, Health and Human Services, as far as the guidance that schools can use. They are encouraged to follow that guidance. It is up to them whether they do or not. So that takes you to the school board level. I still like the approach of being able to manage it on a building by building basis and taking a look at what's actually happening. So when you look at spending time, effort, and energy trying to write the perfect resolution to say, we don't agree with what you did, there may be a condition where if we went back to October of last year when cases went crazy, I just hate the thought of mask mandates with no expiration on them. If you said, hey, we need to take emergency action in this school for 2 weeks to limit cases, you know, I think that's tolerable. That when you give, you know, when the health officer gives a no end date in sight on these things. So I know I'm going on, but we have been thinking about this for a long time. We've been hearing about it for a long time. It's time to get through this and heal as a community instead of being so divisive and continuing to tear each other apart over whether or not our kids are masked. We have to get back to being a community and cheering for each other versus, well, she's this or he's that. I mean, we've seen the facts, the numbers, the statistics. We know what's going on. It appears that we're at a plateau right now. I don't know that we can say anything as a board that hasn't already been said. I mean, really. Do you think our health officer is going to be shocked by a resolution from Berry County? Wow, where did that come from? You know,
That's true.
I mean, they have heard our voices. Do we need a resolution to make parents happy? What are we putting a resolution in place for? You know, the health officer knows my opinion because I've had a personal conversation with her, like Ben has. I don't know about John.
I have to.
That she knows where I stand. So, you know, we've had that conversation. So if the board wants to put through a resolution that says we do not agree with universal masking, you know, then I can support that because I do believe that universal masking is not the answer. I think it needs more attention, more case by case, and it needs some input from our local schools as well. So I just am struggling with this because we also, like I said, we have kids who are at risk as well. So you have to consider everybody in the equation. You know, somebody mentioned equal protection today. Does equal protection just apply to people that scream the loudest? You know, that's a lot.
We aren't saying people can't wear masks.
That's exactly right. So people do have the ability to wear masks as needed, where needed. And that's a great thing. I just, I'm open to where the board goes. I think if you're going to put something together that's meaningful, then we should really think about what we're doing. I don't know that you can put something together here that's as simple as John has stated, although that in essence captures what we're trying to say is that we don't agree with universal masking, but by the same token, is that really as simplified as we want to make it? Is that the only statement? Do we need to make a statement? Should we think about this, put some ideas into Ben, and just decide where you want this to go? I don't have all the answers to it, but he's probably going, I wish Dave would shut up. So, okay,
No,
I'm done.
this is
Made
indicative.
some very good points.
This
Dave.
is indicative of the problem that we have here, is that it never ends. Is that the apparatus and the systems that are in place don't give this board the power to have resolution. A resolution is a final determination. A resolution is our budget document that says, be it resolved that this money is going for this. To Dave's point, a toothless resolution just shares our opinion for the time, but it doesn't have the teeth that we want it to be. And we know it doesn't have the teeth because our legal opinion right here. It's because our lawyers and the state government have not, our attorneys have opined that the state law does not give us the power to act here. And I think that's where the real crux of it is. That I think the real shame is that we don't have any options. That we don't have options here. That we can't debate it back and forth on what the acceptable and correct path is to go. We are just bystanders in some regards to this process, and that's what is frustrating to a lot of our constituents.
I mean, we can make our opinion known,
Yeah,
But is our opinion universal on this board?
I don't think it is. We just seen Vivian has some concerns about a resolution that has wording that would limit a school board.
Yeah.
And I think just looking at the language right now, we need to add in the word COVID because I support immunization to go for students. And so if we just say school vaccines, we're really
I
talking
see.
broader.
I see.
So maybe Dave's right. Maybe we can't find all the words today.
I kind of misunderstand that. You're for mandating the vaccine?
I'm for shots for kids to go to school.
No.
No,
no.
the immune.
Not mandatory.
No, he's talking about
I'm talking about your
Polio.
diphtheria, polio.
Yeah, your polio.
You want to mandate that, is what you're just saying.
No, I think
No.
no, that is a good point. I do. Thank you for catching me on that. So.
If I'm financially
Okay.
and medically responsible, why are you trying to get your hands in my kid's life?
Right.
Once that kid has that vaccine, it can't be taken back out.
Right.
It shouldn't be my choice. What I
Yeah.
want
See.
is my kids.
See.
That's correct.
I'm a. Okay.
Breaking your boundaries.
You guys made your point. I was wrong. You know, I'm.
That's their own experimental still. They
Yeah.
have not been approved.
Can you get it back into order here?
Yeah.
Now with natural
Okay.
John, I would agree to withdraw my second if you withdraw your motion.
You could just withdraw your support.
I can't think of any one thing that I don't think we have the same consensus here. I think every one of us thinks it's not within our wheelhouse, as David said, a toothless resolution. We talked about this back even a month ago. And that's why we got the attorney's opinion. And that's why I was very cautious about supporting something just that was too, we don't support masking or vaccinations, COVID vaccinations. We'll say I think that's what John's intent was on the COVID vaccinations.
They said that we're not in favor of a mandate.
Mandate for those, yes.
All right. See, and we're getting into the weeds with the discussion, like, so I'll say it again, you know, kids should have the right to go to public school, no matter what their parents determine if they should get shots or not.
It's kind of, it's not exactly like, but even the restaurant mandates
Right.
that they wanted us to pass, we could say, we don't care if you're open. However, that left restaurants to say, well, if the commissioners don't care, but they still could be shut down, they still could have their licenses suspended, and we didn't want to do that and put them in that jeopardy, so.
Okay. So what are the board's wishes?
I would like to withdraw my support, John. I just don't think we need to do it because
Okay.
Is there,
I think these people know where we stand.
is there support? There being no support, the motion dies. County Administrator's report. I'm all set, thank you. Chairperson's report. I'll move on to Vice Chairperson's report.
Thank you. So, 2 weeks ago, tomorrow, Friend of the Court Building and Rehab Move meeting. The carpet finally came in. So they were going to be installing that. I haven't been over there since I've been back from my mom's to see if it's in. We'll have a meeting tomorrow. Also, the screening in the SOS office should be finished, at least should have been finished by the end of last week. And then we're going to start on the second floor and then the third week of October. And then after that, the third floor. Prairieville Township, I attended that. They approved several resolutions regarding a Southgate Drive Assessment Fund. They approved a public hearing date of 11/2 for the Merlau Special Assessment Fund. They approved the Merlau Special Assessment date, approved the PCI contract codes, and approved the PCI zoning contract. I attended the Planning Commission meeting last night. We interviewed 4 firms to facilitate assistance with a new master plan. And I do not think it is this board's responsibility. No, I'm going to shut my mouth.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner reports. We'll start with Commissioner Campbell.
I did attend the CAA, and basically what's going on down there is the same thing that's going on everywhere in our country right now. They are short workers, and that seems to be the big discussion. They're like 50 members short right now down there, so it's a big issue all over the country right now. I don't know where all our workers went, but that's what I have.
Yep, thank you. Commissioner Jackson.
I think you've heard from me enough. I'm all set.
Commissioner Gibson.
Yes, I attended the Hastings Township meeting. They talked about the Leech Lake weed control. They talked about the 2022 salary resolution. They talked about the Davis drain. At the Transit Board meeting, we had an update on the drivers and buses, along with demonstrations of the new tablets that they're getting. We presently have 15 drivers. One of those is off at this time. Friday, I attended the Branch County Jail and Sheriff's Office. They had the ribbon cutting. They're getting ready to open that building up sometime next month. I was really impressed with the building. It's a real nice building, and it's for 210 people, and it's a real nice facility. That's all I have.
Great. Commissioner Smelker.
I attended 2 of the same meetings Hope did, so we'll leave that alone. And the 911 Administrative Board met with the Perry County Firemen Association at their board meeting and got their input on 911. That's about it.
I attended the Meadowville Local Development Finance Authority meeting earlier, I guess at the end of last week. They're looking at projects to consider in the next budget year. And I attended the jail ribbon cutting as well. I thought they did a nice job with their facility, and they were faced with similar challenges as Berry County in terms of providing a safe environment for their staff and their inmates, and I thought they did a good job of addressing it, and I appreciated their feedback on how they got there and how they enlisted support from their constituents.
Took them three times, but they got there. All right, moving ahead. Limited public comment. This time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Before I start my public comment, can we reopen the discussion on resolution?
Can't reopen it. This is public comment.
Would the chair entertain a motion or a quorum of the board to allow me to exceed my 3 minutes?
We'll start with your 3 minutes right now, and we'll see where it goes. Once we get to 3 minutes, you can ask for more time.
Joel Ibbotson, Rutland Township. I went on the record before all of this stating that the governor was correct. As much as I dislike her leadership of the state, the governor was correct in stating that you guys, or the legislature more important, or more specifically, cannot weaponize funding based on an officer's actions. There's plenty of case law that represents that. Look up the legal definition of officer. Look at the 5 requirements of officer, the word officer that must be met legally in order to call someone an officer. One of those requirements is that they must be able to exercise their duty without fear of anything from you guys, as long as it's within the bounds of the Constitution and the laws of the state of Michigan and the United States. I went on record. So 1, 2, 3, I was correct. 4, this attorney has everything correct minus the de facto. An oath of office cannot be de facto. You cannot write a law that states, for example, that this road goes from 35 miles an hour down to 25 miles an hour, but it goes back to May 1st of 2011, and you're going to write everyone a speeding ticket. It doesn't work that way. So this is not a de facto option for the health officer. She has to have it, period. And it states in here as well that there is no Attorney General opinion. That is incorrect as well. Attorney General Otto Kirchner from the late 1800s gave an opinion stating that with an absence of a requirement in the statutory laws or the compiled laws of the state for an oath, and given that there is no exemption from the oath of Section 1, Article 18, I believe it is, of the 1850 Constitution, which is very similar to Article 11, Section 1 of the 1963 Constitution, that it would be proper for the county, or for the health officer, to take an oath of office and to deposit it with the clerk. This is what I've stated all along, and somehow or another I miraculously stumbled upon that here recently. Also, as far as the resolution is concerned, Ben, you made a comment earlier about how that this just never ends. This resolution here, you guys disagree with the first part, but no one said anything about the last part, where it states that we hereby direct the county administrator to notify department heads that no funds or resources should be expended to the enforcement of any constitutional mandates regarding COVID-19. We proposed, as citizens, as constituents, a resolution back in December that stated exactly that. That is something that you guys could do. What is wrong with saying that no funds shall go to enforce an unconstitutional mandate? If I may have an additional probably 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
The resolution that I handed to all of you, we're not asking for money. It's just asking for her resignation. I can't make this argument any clearer. We have had unequal benefits from the Barry Eaton District Health Department for over a decade now. They have a free dental clinic. We don't. Guess what? A friend of mine had a tooth that needed to be worked on. I said, well, guess what? The Barry Eaton District Health Department has a dental clinic over in Eaton County. It's free. So she called him up, said, I'd like to get this work done. We won't touch you. Go to Battle Creek. We don't have equal benefits from this department. We are not being served equally from this department. This resolution addresses a even more disastrous thing that she did, and that was the unequal enforcement of the unconstitutional mandates, which, by the way, Stoker was wrong on. Stoker said that, oh, the governor, she's right, she gets the extra so many days. Wrong. She did not then. It ends now. Her unequal enforcement of the law denies us the unequal protection of the law. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Pat Hilton, Middleville. I think sometimes resolutions for the public are a good thing, just so we do know where you stand on the record, right? It's very easy sometimes to say, oh, you know where we stand, we've had these conversations. It's not out in the public. Private conversations aren't out in the public. So I don't know where you stand. The only thing I do know where you stand on is the original vote that went 6-1 or 5-1, because I believe one of you were missing. And I appreciated that because I knew then where everybody stood. As far as the attorney-client, you can ask questions of an attorney and they'll give you an opinion. But if you don't ask the right questions, you don't get the right answers, right? The interesting part is both of those codes that are listed in there over and over and over again, right? 2451, imminent danger. This is exactly how that statute describes imminent danger. You tell me if COVID fits this description inside of a school building. Imminent danger means a condition or practice which could reasonably be expected to cause death, disease, or serious physical harm immediately, or before the imminent danger can be eliminated through enforcement procedures. can COVID immediately put somebody in physical harm and kill them? The answer to that question, I think, is obviously no. Can a virus be immediately rectified by putting masks on children? Obviously no, because thank you very much for talking about April, when we were all wearing masks and the virus was exploding with us all masked. So the question should have been, is this statute even usable in the way that she used it? The second one, 3332453, it says if a health officer determines that control of an epidemic is necessary to protect the public health, the local health officer may issue an emergency order to prohibit the gathering of people for any purpose and may establish procedures to be followed by persons, including local government entity, during the epidemic. Here's the key part: to ensure the continuation of essential public health services and enforcement of health laws. So how, putting a mask on a child, does it allow for the continuation of health services? Again, the wrong questions are asked. The problem that I have is I've mentioned this multiple times that both of those codes were used incorrectly. I've shared information that told you guys that that those codes were used incorrectly, and none of you asked that question. That's not representation. That, unfortunately, allows you guys to hide behind a lawyer when things get tough. That's the way it looks to us.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Michelle Peltier, Hastings City. I want to thank the board for doing the expenditure of finding the legal opinion. I note that the legal opinion is also based on precedents and the footnotes of this, and I understand that it was an expenditure of the commissioners to answer the public questions. I want to thank you for that very much. Masks are not for the people who wear the masks, they're for others. So you, by wearing a mask, are protecting those around you. If I cough, I'm not, without a mask, I'm not protecting anyone. It is a social responsibility to help others. And I appreciate that the board has looked at this and has decided not to do a resolution. It is obvious of how you've spoken today, where your stance is, and we appreciate it. And we appreciate that you're following Michigan law and that you are seeking opinion and that you shared it with everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there further public comment?
Gary White, Nashville. Public comment, public hearings. When I watch when public comment, public hearing comes in front of this board, it means absolutely nothing. Had comments on the budget today, and one commissioner voted no. I have no idea why he voted no. I have no idea why the other ones voted yes, except for he voted. Nothing was taken in place. You followed what you were told to do by your resolution and do it today. It was not needed to be done today because it's a 2022 resolution. I've watched here in the last few meetings that as a past village president, I remember my very first meeting. You might remember it too, sir. We passed the resolution for a grant, and we came right because it was brought the very same day of the meeting with no opportunity to investigate anything. So we passed the very first meeting, my very first village president meeting. No idea what I was doing anyway. And the next meeting we came back, and guess what? We unpassed it. We rescinded it. Why? Because we didn't have the matching funds or the money to actually do it. After that time, put a policy in there that if you have an agenda item that comes on Monday, on Tuesday the information for the commissioners will be, or the trustees will be there, and that way you have opportunities to review. You just passed a resolution for a recreation grant that Mr. Geiger apparently was reading emails because he had to go for a recess and run out and get some things printed. Was it really him reading emails, or did he have that thing and we wasted time? You didn't have an opportunity to review. Today, you had a resolution. We have to take a 10-minute recess to go get a resolution. That should have been in a board packet. So you could have found some of these things out before he got there. So right now, are your meetings run well? I'm going to say no. Do you have policies in there to be prepared? I'm going to say no. It's just becoming more amazing. By the more meetings I attend, I'm going to say unorganized chaos. Public hearings, public meetings, you folks come in here and you're ready to do what you're told. The discussion on motions should take place here. 3 of you have said that you've had personal discussions with Colette. That should have taken place in a public meeting, because right now I don't know what your discussions are about. I think you've heard that from somebody else here too, correct? You don't do business in public. You do motions and actions, but we have no idea really where you stand. I'm sitting there. It's just amazing to me to find that this is where you go. Eaton County Board, when I went to that, they have no time limit on public comment. Everybody ran out of words before they ran out of time.
Well, you are out of time.
That.
Is there further public comment?
Hi again, Chuck Hertzler, Hastings City. How many of you guys up here are medical professionals? How many of you can I come up to and get medical advice from? You can't. You're not medical professionals. How many of you have sworn to uphold the Constitution? How many of you can answer questions about the Constitution? How well do you know it? All right, you're telling me that in the Constitution that I've provided to you, that says that the health officer has to have an oath of office. I gave you proof of that when I showed you the one from the Ingham County where the deputy took the health officer and swore her in. And you guys now sit here and say, no, it's not. The opinion of the lawyer says it's not, has to be done. But the Constitution says it does. We have proof that it has to be done. And you guys still won't do your duty as constitutionalists. You're supposed to uphold the Constitution. Okay, sorry. I'm getting emotional because this is over and over and over again. Ben, I said before that I think you should resign from two of the positions. You're not Superman. You can't do your job efficiently spreading yourself too thin. The GOP party is a mess. You can't make a decision here about the health department. You definitely can't do it as the head of the health department. You need to take yourself out of two of them positions and do this county a big favor. Because you're just hurting this county. You guys are constitutionalists. You're supposed to know the Constitution. You go to lawyers for opinions, but yet you know, especially when it's given to you, to your face, and you can't say, this is what we have to do. All right? You can't stand up for the rights of the people. What good are you? We elected you, not as our leaders, but as our servants, to help us make sure our voices are heard and that the things that we request and are guaranteed us in the Constitution is done by you. And you fail miserably all the time to do so. And I think it's time that you either start taking some Constitution classes and get some intestinal fortitude, because I want to say the wrong words, and start doing what you're expected to do by the people here and the people of Berry County. Thank you.
Is there further public comment?
Cindy Twitchell, United States citizen. Article 6, Section 2 of the Constitution of the United States says, "This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. You, as elected officials, take an oath to support this Constitution. You, as elected officials, are bound by your oath. So I am letting you know up front that I will be going over your illegal and unconstitutional policy of allowing public comment to be limited to 3 minutes at a time. This does not have to go to litigation, as Marbury versus Madison 1803 has already made the legal foundation for me to stand on that your policy, is unconstitutional, therefore it is illegal, and I will be exercising my constitutional and legal right to take the time I need based on the First Amendment of the Constitution. The First Amendment of the Constitution states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Webster Noah American Dictionary 1828 edition defines abridge as to make shorter. If Congress is not allowed to make law that abridges my right to petition you to make things right that has caused me harm, you are not allowed to make a policy that diminishes my right to petition to make things right if it has caused me harm. Michigan State Constitution of 1963 states in its preamble, "We the people of the state of Michigan, grateful to Almighty God for the blessings of freedom and earnestly desiring to secure these blessings undiminished to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution." Article 1, Section 1 says, all political power is inherent in the people. Government is instituted for their equal benefit, security, and protection. Section 17 says, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
That's 3 minutes,
For
ma'am.
the last year and a half, and actually for a lot longer than that,
Ma'am,
we
your
have
3
all
minutes
been,
have
and you
expired.
are unconstitutionally asking
We ask
me
you
to
to
stop.
return to your seat.
Nope.
Yield the floor.
Armed by the illegal and unconstitutional mandates, which again
The
I
board-
reiterate.
The chair
and you know
rules
it's
that
my
this meeting is now
constitutional right to
unruly,
address
and the
if
meeting
this
is now adjourned.
policy is
Board is adjourned.
unconstitutional or illegal. Coward.